Hi, this is Chuck Birch at New Tech Machinery. Today we're going to be installing the FWQ flush wall panel roller system in the SSQ2. We already have the other rollers out of it. We're going to be installing those. And to begin with, the first thing you really want to do is the flush wall is the only system we have today that runs the color down. So when you get ready to do this, when you load it, make sure your coil is turned around the other way than the standard application. While we're working with the machine, let's talk about safety real quick. When we have the covers off and you're not running the machine in maintenance mode, let's just go ahead and make sure you're unplugged. That way it doesn't come on accidentally or anything like that. We've got our covers off, so be careful in here, all the drives and stuff. Especially with the shear, when we have this open and we're putting the dies in or taking them off, I want you to, when you put the die on the face side, of course you can work right here, but never want you to reach through. We always want you to take both hands, or whichever hand you're going to use to come on the inside and maintenance the inside. We want you to come over this way. You're either here or here. Don't ever reach through. That's just not good. The first thing we want to do is check our inboard and outboard. We're going to have to move this. Check your manual, or right here on this first 2x2 frame. You'll see that it calls out for us to be inboard, and this one happens to be outboard. So we're going to go ahead and loosen the rail and move it inward. So you got these 4 mounts to loosen, and after we get them loosened, we'll move it in. This is inboard and this is outboard, and we need to be inboard, so we push it all the way into the stop. No adjustment required, all the way in. And tighten our 4 bolts back up. Make sure you get all 4 of them, because if the material pushes on the rail and the rail moves, you'll get some double tracking and the panel may not run correctly. So we'll go ahead and get all these tightened up. And I've already loosened the bolts on the other side. So of course we're in A. On the flush wall it calls for B position. So we're going to head and pull this rail all the way, again, all the way. No adjustment required, just pull it all the way to the stop and tighten them all up. Now that we've got everything set up, we're going to go ahead and install the FWQ, the flush wall system. Look at this right here. I'll tell you it's the first one. R11 is the right side one, and we're going to slot this over the one marker that we have on the rail. And here's R1. So that's where we're going to place it at and then bolt it in. So we're going to set it down in here. And everything's pretty dedicated. You can't put these in the wrong place. So once we get that right over the one, we're going to go ahead and grab our bolts and get her bolted up. And then the first 3, while I'm bolting this up, the first 3 rails get bolted together. So we're going to bolt this in here, and just to let you know, we are installing the 1-inch. So we don't want to tighten those up yet. So we're going to come over here and get we're going to look at the R22. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. And this, so again, we'll line up over the 2 marker. We'll grab our bolts and bolt it in. Get it secured but not tight, and then after we get the 3rd rail in, or we can go ahead and do it with this one, we can go ahead while we're standing here, get these rails bolted together on the locking system. We have to put them together. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and get these lined up here, and we can go ahead and tighten these once we get them in. And then we'll install the 3rd rail and get everything locked in. Then we can tighten up the side to side. And then we're going to go get the third rail on the right side. Here again, it shows R3. We're going to go over the third slot, get the third rail put in here and get it all lined up. It's going to slide in over here. Reach down in here and snug this up just a little bit. Then we're going to go ahead and get our other bolts in to lock the rails together. Looks pretty good. Go ahead and get this bolt in right here. And then the second bolt locks the rails together, so we're going to have one full rail bolted together. We can go ahead and snug these up. Our rails should still be able to be moved. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead to the back. So you can push this out just a little bit. So what I want to do is it slide out. What you want to do is push it in against these stops. Push this one out against the stops. And this is, the reason this is like this is so we can adjust this rail to the other rail for the top and bottom of the leg, so we can adjust it to the leg height so they are equal when it comes out. So this is a fine-tuning rail here. You can see right here to where we can take this little here, we can loosen everything and we can dial this in, click it in, click it out, and it'll move in and out. This is the only part that touches the bottom rail. Up there's the only part that touches the rail. So you can move this in and out equally to set the height of the two panels to match them up. Make sure we're all the way in. Tighten it up, and we're going to go through and tighten them all up here. Then after you get that installed, you can go on and install the rest of the rollers. Okay, before we install the last roller set on the right side, I want to go over this with you real quick. We've got the crimper assembly right here, and I thought it would be easier to show it to you out of the machine than in. And as the panel goes through here, you have an eccentric cam here, and it crimps the edge of the material. You can add and subtract the pressure on this to control the in and out and the way the panel runs to get it to run proper. We're going to go ahead and install the last rail on the right side. So all of them on the right side are installed just standard, except for the first three. Again, they're all bolted together, so you have control of that leg. And again, this is the 6th roller set on the right side, and we're over the number 9 hole. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and install the left side, and the first thing I wanted to show you before I installed it so you could get a good look at it is the reveal. And when we set up the entry guide width adjustment, we want to make sure we dial this crank and put it in to the number we're requiring for the reveal. And then before installing the roller set, I want to loosen this, the guide rod, and make it easier to install it. I want to take it and push it and make sure it's all the way out of my way. And then once I get the roller system in, I'll go ahead and snug it up and readjust it. Now we're going to go ahead and put the first roller in. And again, we have L1 over 1, so we want to make sure we get this lined up. And we're going to slide it in and make sure again we're over the whole slot should be showing 1. we're going to go ahead and get our bolts put in. Going to go ahead and snug these down, and right about to get them snug down, I want to make sure I pull back so it's up against the stop, and do both sides. Make sure it's back against the stop so the rail isn't offset to the string line. Everything is square to the machine and it runs correctly. Then I'm gonna go ahead and jump up here, and I want to make sure that this doesn't have to be real close, but just an eyeball about a 1/4 inch from it. That's where I like to put it. And then go ahead and tighten these up. And we're gonna go ahead and get the second one, L2, and go ahead and install it. So now we're at our last roller set on the left side, and I just wanted to show it to you before I installed it. You bolt this up to the reveal. This is where you line it up at. We're gonna put it into the 0 because we don't want any reveal at all. So when I install it, the bolts are gonna go in here, and then I'm gonna pull it back and set it to 0 and tighten it up. It goes into the 8 slot, but there is no hole there because of the reveal adjuster, so you just line it up over the holes. Twist this in and around here. Get it lined up, and as you see, once you get the reveal, you can line it up and set it where you want. Like I said, again, I'm going to 0, so I'm going to push it all the way forward and then push it toward the exit into the machine. And then we're going to tighten it up. Okay, now that we've gone ahead and got the FWQ roller system in, we've got the panels off, so we're going to be in maintenance mode. We're going to go ahead and adjust the guides. So what we need to do is we need to loosen. So we want to take it and move it over to the notching notch here. And once we get that set where we need it, we'll go ahead and tighten it down. And then we're going to take our panel, check our width, see if we can get that in, and then we adjust the width adjusted to that. So we're going to go ahead and loosen the bar on that. Slide that out. We want, again, 2-foot piece of material, move that in, and then we're going to pull the notching system all the way over to it, square it up to where we don't have no play in it. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten it up. So now that we've got our flush wall roller set in, we run the panel up to here, and then we're going to put in our dies. We use the panel to help line us up. Kind of line up the profile to the panel, then you bolt it in again. You never reach through the blade, always around the back side, never through here. Going to get that one locked down. And then this one, of course, the only thing you really got to do is just line it right up with the other one after you get it on there. And then you got these holes go in. They're spaced to where you can just about put that anywhere you want to. After you put it where you want, you just pick the hole that looks the best for adjustment. We're going to go ahead and tighten those up. And after you do that one, you bring this one here. Again, around the top, never through. Sometimes if you want, if you can't get your fingers in here, I've been doing it quite a bit. If it's easy for you, you can go ahead and take this ramp off to get hooked up a little easier to get your bolts in. And after you do that, you can go ahead and do your adjustments. After you line that one up, you're going to come around and put your outside one on. Again, just line it up to the inside one with just a hair to the outside part. That looks pretty good there. Okay, so after you've gotten your material into the machine, you got all the dies lined up to your material, you bring your material through, make sure you don't have any scratching or anything like that. Again, safety, work these dies here, reach around to the inside, never through, get those all set up. Go ahead and run your panel, get it set up in maintenance mode, and after you get that all done, then we're going to go ahead and put the safety cover back on and go ahead and bolt it back up. When you put that all together, we do have several different covers to fit the profile, so make sure you're using the one that fits the flush wall, and it should come with your flush wall roller set.